have you heard about this? There's a new term floating around the tech world that's, well, it's completely changing the game for how software gets made. It's called vibe coding, and it really does signal a fundamental shift in how we build things. So let's get into it, because if you haven't heard of this yet, you're about to.
I mean, it's pretty much that simple. This is the core idea that is reshaping the entire software development landscape as we speak. Forget all the syntax, forget spending years learning complex programming languages. The new way of doing things? It's basically a conversation. You just describe what you want, and an AI does all the heavy lifting for you.
All right, so what is vibe coding really? Let's break down the actual definition. So this term, it was recently coined by Andrej Karpathy, who's one of the top minds in AI. And what's so wild about this is the contrast, right? Traditional programming, it demands absolute perfect precision. You get one semicolon wrong and your entire application just breaks. Vibe coding, though, it's all about your intent. You describe the function you're going for, the AI figures it out, and suddenly the barrier to entry isn't years of technical school. It's just being able to clearly explain what you want to build.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does this actually work? What does it look like in practice? Well, the workflow is totally different from traditional development.
The whole process is incredibly simple. First, you just describe what you want. You say something like, hey, I need a dashboard for my clients to log in and see their project status. Step 2, the AI generates the code. It literally picks the frameworks, builds out the database, and spits out a working app. Third, you refine it. You play around with it and give feedback like, actually, can you make that login screen blue? And finally, you deploy the finished product for your users. I mean, this whole cycle can take a few hours, not months. It's wild.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds a lot like those no-code tools we've had for years, right? Like Wix or Bubble. And you're not wrong to think that. But there is a massive difference, and it all comes down to flexibility and pure power. And this analogy just nails it. Traditional no-code tools, they're like ordering from a fixed menu at a restaurant. They give you templates, pre-built blocks, and they're great until you want something that's not on the menu. Vibe coding, on the other hand, is like having your own personal chef. You describe exactly what you want with totally custom logic and unique workflows, and the AI builds it from scratch for you using real code. It's not a template, it's a real, custom application. And look, this isn't some niche trend for a few early adopters. The numbers are showing this is a huge, mainstream movement that is happening right now. Let's look at the actual data.
Just look at that number. Seriously. According to a recent report from GitHub, the biggest code repository on the planet, an absolutely staggering 41% of all code on their platform is now generated by AI. This isn't just a change, it's a seismic shift.
And this chart just puts it all into perspective. I mean, that growth curve is almost a vertical line, going from basically zero just a few years ago. And it is happening everywhere. Google's CEO said over a quarter of their new code is written by AI, and Y Combinator is funding tons of startups built entirely this way, often by founders who aren't even technical. So, okay, it's obviously powerful, but what can you realistically build with it? And maybe more importantly, what are its limits? Let's get into the practical side of things.
The range of stuff people are actually building is, well, it's impressive. We're talking about real-deal client portals for agencies, custom booking systems for local businesses, internal tools to manage inventory, marketplace platforms, and even entire SaaS products that are generating real, recurring revenue. These are not toys. These are real businesses solving real problems.
But, and this is important, it's not magic. We have to be honest about the limitations here. AI is not ready to build, the core banking system for Chase or an air traffic control network. For those super complex, massive systems that need deep debugging or enterprise-level security, you still need a team of experienced engineers. The key is just knowing where the tech shines and where it doesn't.
Yet. And this all brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from this entire shift. The problem that vibe coding solves? It turns out that's just the tip of the iceberg.
See, for decades, the absolute hardest part of launching a software business was just building the thing. That barrier to entry, it's now been almost completely obliterated. But here's the kicker. Building was never the only thing that mattered. Not even close.
Take a look at this chart. That little slice of the pie, that 20%, that's building the app. The other 80%, the part where most companies actually fail, is everything else. It's validating your idea, it's marketing, it's finding customers, it's positioning yourself in the market. So, while vibe coding is basically solved for that 20%,
The real challenge, and honestly the biggest opportunity, has now shifted to mastering that other 80%.
So, yeah, this is the new reality. The technical barrier to creating software has basically disappeared. The ability to build something is being democratized for everyone. So the question is no longer, can you build it? The real question now is, what problem that actually matters are you going to solve?